here at the Turning Gate. In our last video, which was the preview for Backlight 3.1, I teased you a little bit at the end by showing you the watermarks, but not how they work. So in this video, I want to dive a little deeper on the new watermarking feature in Backlight 3.1 and show you some of what you can do with it. So to get started, I'm in Pixelmator Pro, which is the application I'm using these days for creating images. I've gotten rid of Photoshop personally. But you can use Photoshop or Affinity Photo or whatever image editor you like. It's fine. The basics of watermarks are pretty simple and don't require any special software. I like to use white text because I think it can be made to stand out and look nice on anything. So what I use is white text with a drop shadow. That way, even on a light background, the white text will still show up because of the shadow. So if I just quickly slap on a background, you can see white on white, I can still read it because of that drop shadow. So the other thing is you want a transparent background on the image and make it an appropriate size. Right now it's way too large and it's big just because I want you to be able to see it in this video. But I'm gonna, my final version is about 500 pixels. I've already saved that off to the desktop. So I would resize this down to 500, maybe scooch things around a little bit. I know when it gets that small, I need to take this logo and push it a little further away from the text because this gap gets shrunk. And then the last thing I do is I actually cut down the opacity because I don't need it to be full opacity when I'm using it. So the one that I exported is 50%. Depending on the watermark, I will sometimes go down to 25%. I'm on the wrong layer. So, somewhere between 25 and 50% I think is pretty good depending on the thickness of your font face and the size of the watermark or the text. Like if it's larger text, I feel like it's easier to see, so you can get away with making it more transparent. Whereas with a smaller watermark, you probably want more opacity so that it shows up and is easier to read. I personally don't feel like watermarks need to cover your images. I think if it's there, even if it's small, like yes, someone could lift the image and then cut out, crop it to cut out your watermark and then reuse it. But then if you ever had to make a claim against them, well, then you've got intent. Like they saw the watermark, they removed the watermark, they knew what they were doing, they knew they were stealing the image. And really, I think the intent is what counts. So that's my thoughts on that. So I've already exported this. And when you're exporting or when you're saving the file, the big thing to keep in mind is export for web. And you want to set that to PNG. Because when you save the PNG, that's going to let you preserve the transparency, whether that's the transparent background or the transparency in the text. In this case, both. So great, we're saving a PNG file. So that done, I'm going to go over to Backlight. And the way that it works in Backlight 3.1 is we get into templates, uploaded images, and then we need to upload a new image. I'm going to choose the file, I'm going to give it a name, Backlight 3 watermark, because that's the way my watermarks will be grouped together. Backlight 3. So just a description so I know what I'm getting. Okay, and then I go into my templates. I want to go to my album template because we're going to apply this to the album template. So in design, we open up image renditions and we've got configure watermark on and off. We turn that on. We select our watermark. So I'm going to choose Backlight 3. Then we got a couple of options. So we've got resize proportionally. If this is off, it will just use your watermark at the natural size of the image file, which in this case is 516 by 73. If you turn this on, you get a few more options, and it's going to scale the watermark. So if your watermark is big, and for example, if you want to apply the watermark to thumbnails, like my thumbnails are not 516 pixels, and so this watermark is too big for my thumbnails. If that were the case, I would turn on resize proportionally, and then you get an option to scale it based on the long edge of your image. So if I wanted it to always be 50% of my image, I would set that to on and 50. Now, I am not going to apply watermarks to my thumbnails, and I think based on the size of my large images, the 516 is fine. So I'm going to turn this off. You can then choose the placement for the watermark. So I like to put mine in the bottom right-hand corner of the image. And you can specify a margin. This is the offset from the edge of the image. So I'm going to set mine to 1% and 1% because I want it snug down in the corner, but not like right up against the edge of the image. I'm just going to give it a little space, a little nudge off of the edge. And that's really all there is to configuring the watermark itself. Now, the next thing is you scroll down into your renditions and you have these options for applying the watermark to each individual rendition. So I want this off for thumbnails. I want it on for my large images. If I were specifying downloadable renditions, I would create custom download renditions via Publisher, and then I can also apply them to this or not, depending on whether or not you want those to be watermarked. So I'm going to switch those back off, save my changes, and then jump into the Publisher. So go into Galleries, I'm going to upload an image to my recent work, add photo, browse. So I'm going to grab this image, upload file, go back, and now you can see my uploaded image has been tagged with my watermark. And if I go into my website, my uploaded image has been tagged with that watermark, but not the thumbnail. You can see there's nothing on the thumbnail. So that's how watermarks work. Really easy. I think it's pretty straightforward. If you're using the Lightroom publisher, you might want to skip this in Backlight. You do get some additional controls using the Lightroom Publish Services plugin because then you have Lightroom rendering the thumbnails instead of Backlight doing it. But for those of you who are not using Lightroom or for whatever reason don't want to use Lightroom for watermarking, this feature is now available natively in Backlight 3.1. And frankly, I really appreciate it because I use Capture One and I want to be able to upload images and have them watermarked, and this allows me to do it. So yeah, I hope you can make great use of this new feature, and we'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.